Imagine a universe where the cold-blooded tyrant didn't conquer planets, he protected them. The skies didn't tremble at his name. They whispered it in prayer before every battle. Frieza, not as the destroyer, but the savior shattering destiny itself with golden defiance. His armor gleamed beneath twin suns, not as a warlord, but as a reluctant guardian. What twisted fate turned the Emperor of Death into the universe's last fragile hope? It began when planet Vegeta fell not by his hands, but by a greater cosmic evil. The Saiyans were wiped out, not by order, but because he hesitated, and someone didn't. Guilt carved scars deeper than battle wounds. For once, he wasn't the monster, just powerless. He saw the future in ruins, Goku defeated, Beerus silenced, Zeno erased from existence. A fractured prophecy showed him wielding justice not out of mercy, but vengeance with purpose. His throne melted in the fire of his own redemption. No empire, only duty remained. The Galactic Council branded him a traitor to evil, hunted by his own monstrous legacy. Once feared by all, now he stood alone, a blade turned against its maker. "You think I'm saving you?" he'd whisper to enemies. "No, I'm saving what I destroyed." And in that moment, you'd question everything you ever believed about power, purpose, and pride. Galaxies whispered of a silver-cloaked warrior, eyes glowing with silent wrath and buried guilt. He wasn't seeking forgiveness, only a purpose stronger than the fear he once inspired. "Even tyrants bleed," he muttered, staring into the mirror of his past crimes and lost faces. In his silence, you could hear echoes, the screams of children he couldn't unkill. The Dragon Balls? He refused them, said some sins aren't meant to be undone, only carried. He trained in solitude, where time broke and gravity bent a punishment he chose. Not even Goku dared to speak to him now, not out of fear but respect. When the Galactic Syndicate rose from the void, only one soul stood between them and ruin. Frieza didn't hesitate, not for power, not for glory, but for something he never had: honor. His tail, once a weapon of cruelty, now shielded refugees from blasts meant to erase hope. Children clung to his legs not in fear, but in desperate trust, whispering, "You're real." Battles came like storms, and with every strike, he shattered the image of the villain he once was. In his golden form, he didn't shine with pride. He burned with the weight of redemption. The stars watched in silence as their greatest destroyer became their reluctant protector. But deep inside, could a soul like his ever be truly saved? Somewhere across the void, Vegeta watched him, jaw clenched, pride tangled in confused respect. "Maybe monsters can change," Bulma whispered, as Frieza held the line where Goku once fell. The Syndicate's leader, a creature born from fractured time, mocked. "You think you're worthy now?" Frieza didn't answer. He just smiled. That same cold grin, now hiding something almost painful. He fought like a ghost, fueled by regret, fast, brutal, but never careless again. Cities collapsed, moons cracked, but the refugees lived because he wouldn't let them die for him. Even Beerus watched, arms crossed, eyes narrowing, wondering when power stopped being Frieza's god. The battle wasn't just physical. It was a war between who he was and who he could be. A small girl offered him food once. "You're not a monster," she said. He froze. In that moment, he saw everything: the Empire, the screams, the silence he once called peace. "I was feared across galaxies," he whispered, "but I've never felt this heavy." The final strike didn't come from rage. It came from a quiet promise he made to her. "You'll live," he said, not to the villain, but to the worlds behind him. The Syndicate vanished in light, not because Frieza destroyed it, but because he didn't become it. And in the silence that followed, a tear slid down a warrior's golden cheek. The universe cheered, but Frieza didn't smile. He stared into space, almost afraid to breathe. He'd saved millions, rewritten his legacy, yet somewhere inside, the silence still felt like a cage. "Is this redemption?" he whispered, voice cracking beneath layers of pride he never truly shed. Gohan approached him slowly, not as an enemy but as someone who knew pain too. "You don't owe anyone forgiveness," he said. "Just keep choosing who you want to be." The Dragon Balls flickered behind them, casting gold light across the battlefield's ruins in his haunted face. He could have wished for power, planets, even fear again. But this time, he wished nothing. That silence was his answer. For once, he didn't need the universe to kneel. Whispers spread across galaxies. Frieza turned. Some believed, some refused, but no one ignored it. Meanwhile, in the shadows, remnants of the old empire stirred. Not everyone wanted peace. His past wasn't done with him. Redemption isn't a path, it's a war you relive daily. Frieza stood alone, cloak dragging through ashes, a lone king walking away from his throne. Power was easy, he muttered. But mercy is a battle I never trained for. A child ran to him again. Same eyes, different world. Will you come back? She asked. He looked down, and this time, for the first time, the answer came without fear. Frieza knelt beside her, not as a tyrant, not as a god, but as a soul reborn. One day, he said softly, when the stars forget who I was, I'll return. Behind him, the sun rose slow over a broken Namek, painting gold over death and rebirth. Goku watched from afar, arms crossed, eyes unreadable, not as a rival, but as a witness. Maybe we were both wrong about each other, Goku whispered. But this feels right. As the child ran back to her village, Frieza turned to the horizon like it was calling his name. For the first time, he didn't crave domination. He craved peace, and peace tasted strange. Galaxies shifted quietly, civilizations rebuilt, and the universe, just maybe, started to believe in change. But even heroes carry shadows, and Frieza's was always right behind him. Silent, watching, waiting. In the ruins of his old empire, a new warlord rose, whispering, "He's grown weak with mercy." Redemption had a cost, and the universe was keeping the receipt. But Frieza smiled not in arrogance, but in understanding. He wasn't afraid anymore. "Let them come," he muttered. "If I fall, I'll fall protecting something that finally matters." The stars blinked as if bowing to his resolve, not as a villain, not as a god, but as the hero he chose to become.